back to Rehab Addicts. Today we're going to cover myofascial flossing. Myofascial flossing is awesome. Why do we do it? We do it to relieve some tension in the wrists and forearms. So what is myofascial flossing?
I don't know.
Myofascial flossing is pretty straightforward. We got this fascia wrapped around our forearms, sort of like a covering, like saran wrap that goes around this whole thing. And as we use our forearms, what ends up happening is the fascia gets tighter and tighter, then starts to load your wrist flexor tendons, your wrist extensor tendons, and ultimately what ends up happening is you start to get tendonitis, carpal tunnel syndrome, you start to get a little bit of tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, you get the whole kit and caboodle. So what we're looking at doing today is relieving tension in the forearm. So every day you're at work, you're bringing home the cheddar, you're typing for 8 hours a day, your arms are getting a little bit stiff and sore, your fingers are starting to tingle. What ends up happening is things start stiffening up. So what you've been doing probably isn't working. You're doing some of the old mom and pop stretches of wrist flexion, wrist extension. We don't mind those, but we're going to rack it up a notch today, okay? So right now we're going to use a flossing band, a myofascial flossing band. So what is this thing?
Don't you use it for your teeth?
No. This is a rubber band, people. That's as simple as it is. When they initially started using these, they were using old bike tires. And now, today, we can get myofascial flossing bands. Just a rubber band. Where do you get these?
Online?
You can get them online. You can get them here.
Yeah, get them here.
Get them here. Come see us. So today, let's go through what normal range of motion is for the wrist and what abnormal range. So as Hayden's going down into wrist flexion, you got to be able to get into a 90 degrees here. If you can't get into a 90 degrees, then it means your forearm extensors are tight. That's no good. That's going to lead to some tennis elbows, some pain on the top of the wrist. If we check wrist flexion as he goes up, once again, you got to get into 90 degrees. If you don't get there, then your wrist flexors are tight. What that's going to do is it's going to entrap the median nerve. You're going to get some carpal tunnel syndrome and potentially even some numbness and tingling to your fingers. You don't want that. If you can't feel the keyboard, you can't make money, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose it all.
No.
So, abnormal range of motion is if your wrist is stuck here. I see this all the time where they can't get back into good range. You want a nice bounce. Same thing here, it gets stuck here. You can't go into there. So, without further ado, let's wrap the forearm.
Oh yeah.
So, a little hard to do, a little bit like learning to ride a bike the first time. The first time you do it, you're going to feel uncomfortable with this. It's just going to get easier and easier as you do it. So he's pinned it in his hand and then he's wrapped it around. And he's getting about a 50% coverage of the individual bands. And he's going to go all the way up into his forearm, trying to get all the way up into the elbow. How hard and tight do you wrap this? It's a bit of a personal preference. Don't be stupid with it. Don't wrap it so your fingers are numb and blanched. But basically get it just so you got some good tension to the wrap. You don't want it sliding around. So, thing to point out, there's about a 50% coverage through the majority of these, but you missed out on a couple. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just freestyle. This is where it gets fun. So, you're just going to bring your arm into flexion and extension. You're going to basically go over some of those same stretches that you had before. Now you have the fascial band grabbing the fascia, pulling it a little bit more. Good. And then you can go through some range of motion to the wrist, which ultimately is going to get some different stretching going on through there. As it gets even harder and harder, you're going to start to bring your arm into flexion. You'll grab the fascial band and you'll start to tug on this. This is going to feel like a snake bite, and that's the point. You're going to just tug and pull on it as hard as you can, but within reason.
I think I need some of your muscles on here.
Alright. So, cool thing is, if you have a partner, say you're in a CrossFit gym, your husband and wife want to help you out, maybe a kid wants to get back at you, you can start to rotate this guy. It can be pretty painful. If you're a big tough guy, you just really rotate this thing. Once again, this is your snake bite. You go through the whole forearm. You're working the back side. You can just hold it for a little bit.
Feels great.
There you go.
I love it. Wow.
Best part about this is if you got a hairy arm like this woolly mammoth, then you're going to get to pull out some of those hairs. It's like a free waxing session. Regardless, it should feel like skin is pulling. Same thing, you can get them down into flexion and extension, and you can just pull down. This is pulling along the lines of stress of the forearm, so there's quite a bit of value of getting a good stretch in these ranges of motion. How long do you think we should do this for?
You know what? At least 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes, or longer.
Or longer.
Once again, if your hand starts going, your fingers start going numb, you're probably time to take it off and reset. When you do this exercise, go gently into it the first time. You're not used to flossing, at least not this way.
Nope.
And ultimately just do it for a little bit, test it out, see what it feels like after you get the band off. Cool thing is, you get the band off, you unwrap it, you're going to start to get some blood flow back to the hand. It's going to start to actually feel a little bit goofy because you're getting some feeling back to it. And then you can reassess. You can bring your back into your assessment and bring it back down and see what the range is. This range should be easier and it should be a greater range of motion. This is not your mom and pop exercise. This is something that's a bit aggressive. It's going to take some time to get used to, but ultimately if you do it regularly, you'll start to deal with those tendinitises and carpal tunnel-like syndromes, okay? Anything else to add, sir?
I'm saying you do this every day.
Every day, even a couple times a day, and basically just slowly ease into it.
Slow.
All right, man. I think we're out from here. Subscribe on Facebook, look us up on YouTube, and ultimately start getting addicted to this stuff, because the more you're addicted to it, you guys are going to get healthier and be able to have a pain-free lifestyle. All right, guys, we're out.
We're addicted.